It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 385. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Are you ready? Oh, hang on. Let me be my Taylor Swift. Are you ready for it?
Sorta. I'm so nervous.
That's not very Swiftian of
I know. I've been having a lot of thoughts about like not being ready, not deserving to be there, like imposter syndrome stuff, you know? And I keep having to like tell myself that that's not true. I did the training.
You've done the things.
I do deserve to be there.
It's not like you received this slot within the marathon a week ago and you're like, sure, why not? You've been doing all the things.
I have. And, you know, you pointed out, and it's true, I am much more prepared for this than I was Big Sur.
Yes.
But, you know, Big Sur hurt. Like, it physically hurt. And I think there's a little part of me that's scared of that. Plus, this is going to be a little bit different. I definitely had somebody I knew was going to be by my side. Two somebodies I knew was going to be by my side the entire time. And this one, I'm not saying I won't know anybody or have anybody near me, but I'm pretty much on my own on this one.
No, that's fair.
And it's just different.
I was just thinking in the transcript of this show.
Oh, dear. Since
it does it automatically, if it spells Sir S-I-R instead of S-U-R, it's going to read very differently when you're like, Big Sur hurt. If there's anyone out there who only reads these, they're going to be like, the hell are they talking about? Is this Savage Love? What's going on?
Well, Tom is in vacation mode.
Because for me, it is.
Yeah.
Not for you.
I do think that I'm going to enjoy myself. I am excited.
I hope so. Don't ruin my vacation.
I won't ruin your vacation. I'm not going to get to do the like touristy things, but I will get to do the race touristy things.
Right.
And I am excited about that. I guess we should wait till later. It's probably a point. Yes, we are. It's on the list. I'm going to wait. But I am so excited about the Shakeout run. I'm so freaking excited about the Peloton Shakeout run.
Well, and luckily we are fortunate enough that we've been in New York enough times now that we've done a lot of the low-hanging fruit for the really touristy stuff. We've done Empire State Building, we've done 30 Rock, we've done the... I just meant I really don't get to like enjoy like, oh, let's go to a show. Right.
Let's hang out. I mean, it's going to be a pretty active weekend.
For sure. Well, yeah. You're running a marathon. If you did nothing else, that counts as an active weekend.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So this comes out on Friday.
It does.
Which is the day of our meetup.
Yes.
So if you're hearing this Friday morning and you
need to email our contact.
Yeah. And you're in the New York area and you want to swing by and say hi, we'd love to see you.
Yes.
It's at somewhere.
The Copper Still in Chelsea.
There
we are
go.
Meeting 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time because that would be local. And I'm really excited to see people. We have a fun meetup. There's people just stopping by for drinks. There's people that are going to be joining us for a meal. You can do either, but I need to know so we can let them know you're coming. So please email me at clipoutcrystal@gmail.com or send me a message on one of the DMs somewhere.
What, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, perfect timing for marathon weekend. And I actually did not do this on purpose. This ended up this way. But we have our interview with Latoya, Shauntay, Snell.
I thought you were going to say we had 26.2 topics to talk about.
No, I didn't count them and I'm not going to. But I am so excited about this guest. She is a marathon runner. She talks about body positivity and size inclusivity. And I've watched a lot of her videos, and her videos are so inspiring, especially if you ever feel othered because you're larger, because you're slow, because whatever, any of those things.
Because you're not sportsy enough to hang with the sports people.
Yeah. And this whole interview made me feel a lot better about the upcoming marathon. So if you do get to listen to this on Friday and you're having nerves about the marathon, this is the perfect interview for you to listen to before Sunday. I'm so excited about this, and she is not a Peloton member, so I was not sure if she would join us, but she did.
Yeah.
She was nice enough to do that.
Yeah, it's a really fun interview.
It is.
And topic-wise?
Oh, yeah. There's other things. Okay, so we are going to talk about this new thing that Facebook and Peloton are doing. These names, Peloton Pal.
Already hate it.
I know. And then it's like, could you sound more like a toddler? Oh, you could. You could. And then we're going to talk about new class types dropping. We're going to talk about changes that Peloton has made to their ID verification system. We're going to talk about who is going to be at the Peloton New York Roadrunner Shakeout Run.
Super excited about this one. You are?
Peloton released their annual report this week for 2024. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And then we also have Dr. Jenn is going to talk to us today about motivation versus discipline. And we're also going to have a bunch of items for in the news for instructors. We have some past guest updates and a very sad one. And then we are going to talk about content. I'm going to start crying just thinking about it. There is a lot to get into today. We have a really good episode. Lots here.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you are there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That is super helpful. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. We have a Patreon. Oh, we should talk about what's going to be on the Patreon this week.
What's going to be on the Patreon, Tom?
Well, some silliness from the OPP. Someone wanting to know if they should tip the instructors. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We will also talk about my never-ending battle with Google Home.
But you found a new way to fight this week.
And I found a way to finally beat it. It stopped recognizing my voice.
Don't get into it.
I won't get into it, but we will discuss my solution on the Patreon.
Okay.
And it was pretty crazy.
Ooh, I'm just going to say there has been a past instructor that has recently been on a podcast. I got some things to say about it.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that too.
So all sorts of stuff over on the Patreon this week. So you can sign up for that at patreon.com/theclipout. It's $5 a month. What it gets is a bonus episode every week. It also gets you ad-free episodes of the main one. And if we get it early, you get it early. It also gets you the pride of knowing that you helped out for just $5. Not a lot of money, but if everybody chips in, we would do one episode and quit because we'd have so much money. But
way to sell it, honey.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know. If you want us to go away, just get everyone to give us $5 and we're deuces.
We will never be seen again.
We're out. We'll be on a private island. But yeah, so it's just a great way to help fund the show. Obviously, all this stuff costs money, and so we're just doing it in our basement. I know it's hard to tell sometimes because we do so much.
We do,
but it's just in our basement.
Pays for all the articles that the helper bees do and the tipsters. It's a lot. There's a whole thing happening.
So anyway, it's all over there at patreon.com/theclipout. Also, don't forget you can sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com where we will send you an article mostly weekly with the links and stuff that we talk about in the show. So you can go read the full articles if you want without having to hunt them down yourself. And then finally, you can watch all of these over on the YouTube. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
We are seeing something in Facebook groups.
Yes.
I am looking at you skeptically.
Yeah.
A chat bot entitled Peloton Pal.
Yeah. And it seems to be that you can change the name for each group because I've seen another. I don't remember what group it was in. Maybe the Positive Peloton group. I don't remember. And I don't remember what theirs was called if it was them.
Right.
But it had a different name.
Gotcha.
Wherever I saw it otherwise, it had a different name. But I'm just like, Really, Peloton?
Yeah, so this is this is the OPPs.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Now, the positive thing about this is that even if you don't search for answers for your question prior to typing it in and getting yelled at, you can now use the Peloton bot to then answer. It will go, hey, these are similar topics that have come up before. Here's some of the answers that have come up in response to this. So it's basically an AI generated chatbot.
Yeah.
And I think that will help. I think like it's about 10 years too late from helping the OPP because I think most people have most of the questions down now, but it is nice. So like, you know, when you ask about something like recalibrating your bike, which is like still,
how do I clip in?
Right. It's all there for you. It's all there for you. So that's the nice part.
So will it take over if you're posting, or is it like you can message the page?
No. What happens is when you put up a post, it then like puts an option that you can see and anybody else that can see your post can see as like, hey, this person asked this question. Here's ways that you can find answers to it.
Okay.
So it doesn't take over. It just adds, like almost like think about it like adding a widget to the post.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So it'll be like kind of a pinned post that'll be like other people have said,
yes,
this helps you with blah, blah, blah.
And you have to like click on it to open it and see what the answers are.
I feel bad. I've noticed Yahoo has started doing that on articles, not all, but some, where it'll be like, click here to see an AI generated summary of this article. And I'm like, and I feel bad because a lot of times I do click it, and I hate to like support AI on stuff like that, but I'm just like, a lot of times it's just a dumb article that I click through on. And I'm like, I don't need 8,000 words. And I'm like, oh, that's what it's saying. Okay, thanks. Got it. Mm-hmm. And I'm out. And so I kind of feel bad that I do that.
Well, Google is also doing that. Whenever you search for something on Google, it'll give you a synopsis of what it is that you asked about. I mean, it's really not that different than the chat. It just comes up right at the beginning of your Google search.
Yeah. Now, see, I feel like the Google synopsis is worse.
Really?
Yeah, because the Google synopsis. So what Google is doing there is
a peek behind the marketing curtain.
Yes. So for years, Google has been trying to get people their searches. It's called like search plus one or whatever. And they want as many relevant searches on that first results page, right? They don't want you to have to dig deeper, which is good and bad, especially because so many ads now populate your Google searches. So a lot of times you have to go deeper. So now what they're trying to do is get you to like search plus zero, which is they don't want you to even leave the search results page. So what's so insidious about that summary that you see on a Google search thing is that it's reading the page, giving you the answer, and then robbing the page of the click.
Yeah.
And so it'd be like if somebody Googled like, you know, hey, what are Tom and Crystal talking about on the Clipbot this week? And then it goes, oh, they're interviewing Shauntay Snell. And then they never click on our page.
Yeah, I could see your point. I could see that being a problem, but you're never going to talk people out of doing it because
you're not.
It's so easy.
But then the problem long term is you will kill the pages that you're using to pull the information that you're presenting to people.
Because why do people keep doing that for free? Right. They won't.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but not everybody will.
Yeah. And at some point we'll stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so it's like you're disincentivizing people from creating the content that they're trying to monetize without sharing the revenue with the other people. And so it's kind of gross.
It is gross.
But anyway, I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, you did.
Peloton Pal is an awful name.
It is. It sounds so childish.
It does.
I hate all those websites like that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Peloton Apparel has updated their restocking fees. Wait, this is not a repeat. Again.
Yes, again. So the last time we talked about this, you could still return your clothing to the store
to avoid the
surcharge.
Yeah.
So long story short, the first story, since you're going to say it out of order, is that Peloton was charging you a $9 restocking fee for anything you ordered from and you sent back via the mail. However, the first time they did this, if you took it back to a showroom you weren't charged anything.
Right.
But now they are no longer waiving that. Doesn't matter where you ordered it from, unless you ordered it from that showroom.
You actually went in a showroom and bought a thing.
That showroom.
Right.
Then you can return it for free. But if you bought it from a showroom in another state, too bad. Restocking fee. And I am hearing now that it appears to be different per store. Some stores are refusing to do it altogether.
Wow.
Which is not the company policy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And they have not updated their website to spell that out. So I find that interesting as well.
Absolutely. So that's, well, you talked about, we talked off air about this.
Yeah.
That you've heard stories of people.
Hundreds. If you look on any of these Facebook groups or Instagram groups, people will go on and on about how they have ordered multiple items of different sizes.
Yeah.
And then they just want to keep one size.
And they're not sure how it'll fit. So they'll buy like, a small, medium, large, and then keep the one that fits the best and send the other two back because there was no fee attached. So as much as this fee can seem like a cash grab, and for the average person it is, but for people like that, you should feel great shame.
You should. because it's always the few that ruin it for the many, but it's pretty widespread.
Yeah.
And then there's also people who are upset about it who they sent something and got the wrong thing from Peloton, and Peloton is still charging them.
Now,
the restocking fee
is grade A bullshit.
It is grade A bullshit.
If they screwed it up, you should not have to pay a fee because then they have no incentive to not screw things up. That's horseshit.
It is. Indeed.
Are we getting a new class type?
It appears so. This is fun.
Okay, thanks. Moving along.
Anna Greenberg is going to be teaching yoga and Pilates all in one class.
Pilates.
Yoga Lattes.
Okay. Is that revolutionary? I don't know enough to know.
It's not revolutionary. It's been around for a long time. A lot of places do this, but it's new for Peloton.
Okay.
Peloton's always been very much like yoga is yoga. And strength is strength. And Pilates falls under strength.
And never the twain shall meet.
Yes.
Well, the twain have met.
They have.
Mind blown. Peloton has changed their ID verification software. So they were using a third party, which was called
Sheer ID.
Sheered.
Sheer ID.
Ed Sheeran.
Right.
Would come to your house.
Yeah. And he would pull out, you had to give him your driver's license.
He would look into your eyes and be like, okay.
Yeah. You're mixing Ed Sheeran and Larry David.
Oh, sorry.
Stop it.
I'm sure it happens a lot. So they used to use Sheer ID.
Yes.
And now they're using
ID.me.
Which that's the one that a lot of like the government sites use. Like if you're doing student loans, like when we applied for Brian's FAFSA, I had to utilize that. So
yeah, it's you upload your whatever kind of ID that it asks you to. In most cases, it's a driver's license. Sometimes it's a passport, depending on the other details.
I used my Monkeys fan club card.
That makes sense. Yeah. So the special pricing program, though, has not changed in how it's working. It is still available to military, first responders, medical personnel, educators, and students. Those individuals can receive a 25% discount on the Peloton app, and that takes your app one tier from $12.99 to $9.99. Military members, first responders, medical personnel, and educators can also have it take a discount of $200 off of Peloton equipment. But no, it does not have a discount for the full all access membership.
Okay. Duly noted.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Crystal is excited.
So excited.
In case you were curious. But the Shakeout run that Peloton is hosting in conjunction with the New York Roadrunners Association has a celebrity appearance.
Oh my God.
From Katherine Switzer.
Katherine Switzer.
Now, if you don't know who that is.
If you don't know, first of all, I just want to say you got to go back and listen to Bex Gentry. She had an outdoor run that she specifically talked about. It was like celebrating World Runners Day, and it was an outdoor run. And she told the story of Katherine Switzer.
Yeah, it's a great story. But
such a great story.
She ran the Boston City Marathon, correct?
Yes.
And
she was the first woman.
Right. She entered using her initials, so they didn't know it was a female.
Yes, because that was back when they thought your uterus would fall out.
Right.
Yes.
And they literally tried to like grab her mid-run and like
physically remove her
from the race.
Yes.
She was too fast.
And she had a very good friend who was male, and he kind of like shielded her, like as they came in to grab her. He just kind of like
block.
He did indeed cock block appropriately. Yeah. So in my mind, she is like the mother of running and running a marathon.
For sure.
I think it's amazing. She still runs marathons, and I think it's awesome.
I mean, this was like
1963.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I thought it was the 70s, but maybe.
Okay. It could be. I'm not good with dates.
But but it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
That it's very impressive that she's still running marathons to this day. So hats off to her.
And the fact that she is going to be at the Shakeout run, I'm going to be like so starstruck. I'm so excited. I hope we get an opportunity to like say thank you for all that she has done. So anyway. I can't wait.
Peloton has released its 2024 annual report.
Yes, and I'll be honest, I did not read this.
It was long and in a very
124 pages long.
In a very small font.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to finish Winds of War.
I feel like what needs to happen here to give you guys a really good detailed breakdown is to compare it to 2023. And I have not had time to do that this week. I have been completely consumed by preparing for leaving this week.
Yeah.
So that did not happen. But if you want to read it, we have the link. It will be in our
show notes.
Yeah. And it will also be in our newsletter.
Now, this feels related. It's not technically, but I guess it's adjacent. CEO Today magazine has an article about Peloton shares surging after being undervalued. Holy cow. That's almost like something we've been saying for years.
It is. Yeah. In fact, they talk about all the good things Peloton has done.
Yeah.
So,
someone, Barry McCarthy's reading that like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And he's going through it. He's like with a highlighter going, did that. That one's me. Oh, now it's all a good thing. It's like when you hear your kids talking to their friends.
Oh my God.
Giving advice that you've given to them.
Yeah, it is. It is like that.
Brian's the worst about that.
He is the worst. And he acts like he came up with it on his own.
And then you hear their friends being like, Brian, that's so astute.
And he's not like, yeah, my parents gave me that information.
He's like, these are just ruminations I have.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That kid. I also want to say, because we didn't talk about this at the top of the show, and I'm afraid we're going to forget, there is going to be an earnings call tomorrow.
Yeah.
We are not covering it due to the travel.
We'll have an article.
That's what I was going to say.
It won't be on the episode.
It will not be on the episode. Yeah. So if you're waiting for that, please stop waiting. But Helper B Tina is going to be putting together an article, and it will be out as soon as the earnings call is done. Give her time to write it.
Yeah, she's a human being.
Right.
Calm down, people.
Just to synthesize the information that we will be covering, but we are not covering it on the show. And I just wanted to make sure people knew that.
Peloton is doubling down on corporate wellness.
Yeah, I find this whole thing fascinating. So Matt Wilpers is going to, he did do a walk that was the first of its kind. It would be, it's taking place on Monday, November 4th. It's going to be a 30-minute class, and it's going to include Dr. Kavita Patel, and it's going to be a metabolic health walk. It's going to be part of the health-centered collection.
I hope it's not one of them fart walks.
Well, this one will be in studio, so hopefully they're going to...
I really hope it's not.
I hope that they wait.
They're all trapped in there.
Well, and it's also interesting because these two appeared together at a conference called HLTH, which is roughly health, but it's fancy, in Las Vegas. And they shared the stage in a panel discussion, and that was also in collaboration with Peloton. And Matt shared recently on his Instagram that fitness is powerful medicine, so I'm excited to bring it further into the health and wellness space. We've got some exciting things cooking, team, more to come. So it is really interesting. And I can't wait to see, what this looks like as they roll it out. So I think this is really interesting.
We have even more siblings joining the OutWatted challenge.
Yes. Okay. So this is a woman who plays for the Seattle Storm, and then she is trying to get her sister to play. I think it's kind of fun.
And I guess she plays for the La Sparks.
Yeah. LA Sparks.
Well, if you want to say it the boring way.
Yeah, I do. I do.
And thank you to helper be Nikki.
Because we would not have known that.
Because she translated sports into Tom and Crystal.
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, for this segment, Peloton's Australian pop-up.
One of their Australian pop-ups.
Has popped down.
Yes. The Claremont pop-up is now closed.
That's a pretty quick one.
Done.
Yeah.
I know. It went real fast. I'm curious to see if the Bondi one goes as quickly, because if it does, that should be closing next week or the week after.
Yeah, that would give us an idea on if that was like intentional or
it just didn't go well.
I mean, they were just like, no, this is a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
I just can't imagine it would be a waste of anyone's time, though. Like, I would think there's a lot of people in Australia that haven't experienced Peloton that would be like, oh, let me check this out.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I got to think that that was purposeful. It was never intended to last for long.
Agreed.
And coming up after this, we're going to talk to Dr. Jenn. She's going to discuss motivation versus discipline and when you should use which. So stick around.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, Maggie has a great question for us today. She would like to know how you balance motivation versus discipline.
Look, I think that, like the Peloton instructors say, we're not always motivated, and that sometimes we just have to show up anyway. And I think that I don't love the word discipline, even though it's accurate. There are a few things. One is, and the instructors talk a lot about finding the why. And part of the reason why they talk about finding your why is because there are days where you don't feel like doing it. And if you're able to say, oh, okay, like for me, a big motivator is disease prevention, that my mom was very ill before she passed away, and that I think about that a lot. And I say, okay, I want to reduce the inflammation in my body. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. And I don't want my daughters to go through with me what I went through with her illness. So for me, that's a big why. And so on the days where I don't feel like picking up those weights, where I don't feel like getting on the tread or the bike, I'm able to remind myself of that. So I think that being able to have that, whether even on a day when you don't feel particularly motivated, to me, that's not about necessarily discipline, which is its own entity. But I think that kind of creating something in your mind that helps you get there, even if you're not feeling it. Because to me, motivation is when you're feeling it. You're like, I'm so motivated. I can't wait to get on the tread. And I had such a great workout. And I can't wait to have another one. And this is so awesome. But a lot of the time, we don't feel that way.
No.
And I guess that she would call this discipline, that the act of showing up for yourself as an exerciser, as a Peloton person, or whatever the exercise is that you are doing, the act of doing it repeatedly creates a self-identity of someone who does this healthy thing. It also creates a pattern, and it creates a, like, kind of, if you don't know what to do, you go and you do your Peloton. It kind of becomes your default, and it becomes so habituated that it starts to feel weird to not do it. So on those days where you don't feel motivated and you don't feel disciplined, you are able to go, you know what? It feels weird to not do it. It feels worse to not do it. So I'm just going to do it, and also a lot of the time, starting is the hardest part. We've talked about this before, that just putting on the clothes, getting on the bike, picking the class, which that's a whole other thing, but and pressing that start button can be the hardest part. And that's a mental game.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really have to talk yourself through it, or just say like, I'm just going to press the button and start. And if I'm hating it that much after 10 minutes, I'll stop.
I think that routine, that habituation you speak of is so important for me, because there are things that I get tired of doing, and that's different. But whenever it's like, if I have a pattern that I go back to, and it's like every morning, that's what I'm working out, it's just so much easier for me to do without thinking about it.
Yeah. And it's also easier to do if you always do it the same time of day and have the same pattern. Like during the pandemic, when we were on lockdown, I would open the dishwasher, unload the dishes, and then go do my workout. And it just like, they became associated and habituated together. And so I would just do that. And I would lay out my clothes the night before so that I didn't have to think about that. Like the less you have to think about it and the more you create kind of mindless heading towards that Peloton, the better off you are. Because if you have to think too much, you can talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just interested in when you were talking about being motivated and wanting to do it. And I was just like, what is that?
Yeah. Well, I know you've always struggled. You joke about it, but you've always struggled with it. I'm curious, is there any part of you now? I know that you don't like to exercise, and you grew up in a family where like everyone else had a very different experience than you of exercise. Yeah. Do you feel like now that you've been doing it for quite some time, do you feel like your experience of it has changed at all?
Not really. Like I still don't enjoy it. I like now it's more like I do see the results. Like they're very tangible. And so now it's more stubbornness of like, I don't want to go backwards, but I'm not like.
You also have said that you feel weird when you don't do it.
But what I feel weird about is I'm afraid I'm backsliding. Like that's what I feel weird about. If I let myself off the hook.
So it's more fear of going back to where you were. Do you get any joy out of like, oh, I'm lifting more, like I just upped my weight, or like I was able to go on the tread for longer? Like, is there any satisfaction?
Well, before people start like emailing us, I've not been on the tread.
Okay.
I realize it's important.
Are you doing any cardio?
Just whatever cardio I get from doing tonal.
Yeah, he won't do anything.
Okay.
But I mean, I do like that. They give you a strength score, and I hit 1,000 for about 48 hours, and then they took it away. And
he was very excited
I'm the
about
Jordan
it.
Childs of tonal. When I first started using tonal, my strength score was like 400. So I mean, that was a long road to 1,000. And so then I hit 1,000, and then I got to like 1,005, and then one day they were like, nope, 988.
And he's working back to his 1,000.
Like, you sons of
but but to your point, he does get satisfaction from that. Yeah.
It sounds like you enjoy the gold star.
Yeah, that's really the only one I've ever been fixated on.
Yeah, he doesn't care about PRs. He doesn't care about lifting more. I'm always like, oh, you hit another PR. And he's like, oh, did I? I'm like, oh, yes, you did. That's so exciting.
Well, with tonal, they add weight when it's time. And so
he thinks it doesn't count.
So I'm like, well, it's not like I pushed myself. The machine just went like, here's an extra pound. So now instead of doing 998, you did 999.
You still handled that extra pound.
Yeah,
that's you and your strength, and you worked for that strength. Yeah. You couldn't have done that when you were at 400.
Yeah. You've literally maxed out some of the moves, Tom. Like
just the one.
It's happened. Like you're downplaying all of your stuff. You're doing the thing you say I do.
I guess
don't do that.
I guess it's an STI.
Well, it must be.
Yeah.
Now that we've had our marriage counseling session today.
Well, anyway, I did not mean to turn this into about me. I was just making a joke, and then it went off on the whole thing. So,
blame it on the shrink.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for all of that. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on all social media, especially Instagram, Twitter, at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
More New York City Marathon stories. Kirsten Ferguson and Robin Arzon will be speaking at the Marathon Expo.
Yeah, they're going to be there on November 1st at 1 p.m. And there's going to be Peloton instructors there throughout the weekend, but at different times. So definitely check your schedule if that's something that you're interested in, because in theory, you were only supposed to go to the expo at the time that you have been slotted. And well, you picked it, but you didn't know all the things you had to choose from back then.
Yeah, for sure.
And so just kind of keep an eye on that, because you're not really supposed to keep coming in and out of that place as you want. But at any rate, there will be, like I said, Peloton instructors there throughout the time. And this particular panel, they will be at the Citizens Bank stage, and they are going to be talking about essential tips that you need to know for conquering your first New York City Marathon.
Well, hopefully they're tips you can do on like 36 hours notice. Hopefully
Indeed.
It's not like start training 6 months ago.
I think that it will be things that you can do. There are a lot of things to know. A lot of things.
Logan Aldridge was discussing his marathon moment.
Yeah, they've been, Peloton has been featuring different Peloton instructors that are going to be running in the marathon. There's 7 altogether. We talked about that last week. And it was Logan's turn this week to talk about that, like, his why behind why he's running.
Right.
And spoiler, it was because he was like, I had a lot of FOMO last year and I decided no more FOMO. So I'm going to do it. I think that's really cool. So he will be there.
It's funny because you've been training for this for a long time now and talking about the marathon a lot.
Me?
And I can assure you, I have not 1 ounce of FOMO.
Well, because it's not something you would ever do. Like,
I have FODI. That's fear of doing it.
But I'm sure if somebody was talking about going to another country and watching a Monkees reunion show, you would have FOMO.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
For sure I would.
I would not.
Yeah.
I would have FODI.
Well,
I know.
You can mark yourself safe from Monkees reunions.
I know. I was just trying to speak to you in your language.
I see. Allie Love is going to speak at the PAC NYC Icons of Culture Festival.
Yes. So it's supposed to be bringing audiences together that are and the people in the room that are going to be speaking are trailblazers in music, comedy, film, sports, and more to talk about pushing boundaries, making a mark, and elevating the everyday to the iconic.
Do we know what PAC stands for?
I mean, all I can think of is PAC, because there's a lot of stuff going around right now because of the election. And so there's PACs everywhere.
Right.
That's all I can think of.
In my world, it's a performing arts center.
Oh.
Like in the world of concerts. And so, and
well,
I see
that could be a performing. It's the theater guide.
Yeah.
So it totally
it
could
might be performing arts centers.
Yeah. No, that totally could be.
But I was just curious if that's what it actually meant.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Venue, Perlman Performing Arts Center, PAC NYC. So yes, that is what it is, Tom.
Look at me getting one right.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Nicely done.
Every once in a while I know things. We'll just gloss right by the fact that you didn't say you know a lot of things, Tom. That's okay.
I think I tell you a lot that you know
We're
things.
We're going to talk about Leanne Hainsby right now. That's okay.
Let's do that. Moving on.
Peloton Studios posted about Leanne Hainsby. Aldis's impact on members battling cancer.
Yeah, it was really nice because there were people who had, since Leanne has talked about her diagnosis, there are members who have experienced their own diagnosis or been going through their own journey dealing with cancer in all kinds of forms, and how much they have relied on Leanne as an example to kind of lead the way of what they should be doing, how they should be handling it. And they all say that, like, could not have done this without her.
Right.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
Absolutely.
Peloton artist collaborations.
The latest artist series features Shawn Mendes.
It does. Yeah.
It's a name I know.
It's a name I know.
I know he's a big deal.
Yeah.
But I know
I'm
so
a lot
out of touch with like top 40 pop music.
And I know a lot of his songs because I have a lot of playlists. Like I know his songs, but it's not like I would be like, I would like to listen to some Shawn Mendes, but it tends to come up in the playlist I listen to.
Right.
Because if I'm like, oh, you know what? I feel like listening to some Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo. Guess what happens? They mix in some Shawn Mendes.
Gotcha.
And that's good. I like it. It's lots of fun. And so I think this will be a really fun like artist series for people.
Yeah.
Especially the younger crowd. Younger being what, 30? Like he's probably been around a lot longer than we're giving him credit for.
That happens. By the time we've heard of them, it means they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. After this, we have a celebrity sighting. We have a sad past guest update, and we're going to talk about all the sorts of classes and stuff out there that you should check out to keep yourself involved. So stick around.
Peloton Celebrity Sightings.
The latest celebrity sighting is Brianna Stewart.
She was on her tread. Yeah. If you don't know who Brianna Stewart is, and I only do because of Help Her Be Nikki,
yes.
She is the WNBA's New York Liberty player. She's on their team.
Yes.
I said that very poorly, but yeah, she's an WNBA player for the New York Liberty.
Past guest update.
So we've got a sad one. Jenn Myers, who was on episode 172. Her name in real life is Jen Farmer. That was her radio name, what most people in St. Louis knew her by. As I said, episode 172, talking about her battle with cancer, and she passed away.
Yeah.
She'd been fighting that for a long time, and unfortunately, she did not make it. I don't know a nice way to say that. I'm trying to say it softer, but there isn't a way. So.
There isn't.
And she was very well known in St. Louis. She was on morning radio on one of, if not the most popular radio shows in St. Louis.
I listened to her for years.
For a long, long time. She wasn't even 50. Had 2 kids. So, and if you listen to that interview, or if you're from St. Louis and you know her and you want to help out, they do have a GoFundMe. We'll post a link to her obit and the show notes, and there's a link to the GoFundMe there. So if you want to help out, I'm sure that they could use it. So.
Yeah. And our hearts go out to her family and close friends. It's a real sad day.
Yeah.
So.
And she spent so much of her time dealing with cancer, like helping local cancer.
She did so much for Pedal the Cause.
Yeah.
For listeners who've listened for a long time, you might also remember Terry Grigi, who lives here in St. Louis. She is a legend in the triathlete community, and also here in St. Louis locally. She's raised money for years for Pedal the Cause, and her and Jen got close because of that.
Yeah.
And they worked together many years on Pedal the Cause, raising money, and yeah.
So anyway, our thoughts go out to her family.
One story that I have to tell just that encapsulates what a lovely person that Jenn Myers is.
Yeah.
Is whenever I got hit by a car, she was in the middle of dealing with chemo and all of the things that go with it. And she sent me a DoorDash coupon to be able to order food because she knew I wasn't going to be able to like get up and cook.
Yeah.
How incredibly thoughtful. Yeah. All the things she has going on, and she's thinking about what I got going on.
And I will say this, and I don't mean this in any disrespect. We were not super close to Jenn Myers. Like, not like we
knew her.
We didn't hang out with her socially.
She's just that nice.
She was, you know, I knew her from working in radio and concerts, and she was on our show once, and she did that. That's the kind of person she was.
Yeah. She will be missed.
New content.
Let's try and bring up the energy.
All right.
Let's talk about the TCO top 5.
Okay.
People tell us which classes they think are the best, and then we tell you what they said, and then you go do said things, sadly.
Okay.
One day I'll know how to say all that.
Okay.
Item number 1, your favorite run.
Okay, so this class was taught by Mariana Fernandez on October 13th. It was a 60-minute intervals run, and Better Netter suggested this class. She said, the rock playlist was terrific and had me running negative splits. The class had an uphill run and plenty of bouts of running contrasted with jogging and striders throughout.
Okay. Number 2, your favorite walk run.
Okay. This was taught by John Hosking on October 26th. It was a 30-minute Halloween walk plus run. Courtney Castle-Brickerhoff suggested this class, saying not only was this a Halloween themed class, it had a second theme as well, with John appearing in his words as your friendly neighborhood party man and secret superhero, Captain Hosky.
Okay. Number 3, your favorite strength class.
Boy, a lot of people recommended this. It was a 60-minute Halloween full body strength with both Andy Spear and Rebecca Kennedy on October 27th. Stephanie RF recommended this class. It's gotten so much buzz. Stephanie said this class was good for the laughs and the workout. Andy and Rebecca have an Anchorman vibe as Don Bumblebee and Harmonica Morning Toast.
Okay. Number 4, your favorite ride.
Your favorite ride. Again, this had a lot of buzz. Garth McKenna recommended this class. It was taught by Leanne Hainsby Aldis, and it was a 30-minute Halloween ride on October 27th. And he said the ride was great fun. All of the music is Halloween themed, and Leanne's It costume, complete with red balloon, is fantastically scary.
And finally, your unstackable.
Okay, so this is a special one. This unstackable is the Pro Shot TCS New York City Marathon course. It is only found on the tread in the scenic runs, and it's amazing. There's no way you would want to stack this with anything else. Right. This was a very thoughtful ad by our team, and we want to wish everyone running the New York City Marathon a great deal of luck and enjoyment. Most of all, enjoyment.
And now let's take a quick look at this week at Peloton. First up, we have a Peloton Defected Live DJ ride.
We sure do. And that is also taught by Leanne Hainsby Aldis. It is going to be in studio. DJ Ariel Free from Defected Records will be there. So kind of given that same vibe that DJ John Michael does, but London style. And you're going to be able to get that Wednesday, October 30th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern.
We got live strength with Camilla.
Yes, this is going to be a debut live strength class in Spanish. So Camila is known for her fiery playlists and her dynamic moves. And this is going to be, we are sure, a workout that is both intense and memorable. Friday, November 1st, 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
It is, of course, Halloween time. By the time you hear this, it will be after Halloween. But if you still want to take the Halloween classes or find them, we have them all kind of situated in one spot for you. We had an article about them over at theclipout.com.
We do. And helper B, Kimberly Holiday wrote this article. And I have to call out her amazing artwork, because what she did is she took a deck of tarot cards and then she placed the schedule in each of the tarot cards. Just beautiful work. But super cool. All the different classes this week. I have to say the costumes that the instructors are pulling out have been amazing. Like really, really, really fantastic. So
I feel like now it's an arms race.
It is.
Now it's like kind of reached a tipping point where everybody wants to outdo everyone else. And so it's a real battle.
And of course you get a badge if you take the classes. So there's bronze, silver, and gold. Well, I don't even know if they're really bronze, silver, or gold. You get different badges for however many numbers that you do. But pretty darn cool.
Peloton has announced a 120-minute global power zone ride.
This is super cool because it will feature Matt Wilpers in the US and Hannah Frankson in the UK.
Ooh.
Live 2 hours together.
Yikes.
That's really cool. I've noticed that for all the 120 runs that they filmed or recorded for the program that was for the half marathon, there were a bunch of runs that they did. They teamed up anything that was above 90 minutes. So there was like 90 minutes or 75 minute, 120 minute with 2 instructors.
Okay.
And I wonder if that's going to be something that's kind of common so that you don't have one instructor that has to carry the banter the entire time.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like not just a lot of exercise.
Right.
I'm sure they can do 2 hours of exercise, but it's still a lot for a class.
And it's a lot to talk while doing it.
But also it's hard to just talk for 2 hours.
People have no idea.
They're like, but you guys make it look so easy. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, but if I only talked without you, that would be impossible.
That would be very difficult. Now, you could talk for 2 hours without me talking, but you would need me here to talk to or at.
Yes, exactly.
You might not let me get a word in. Jenn Sherman has a new cover-to-cover ride. People love those.
Yes, it's going to be starting on October 27th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
Ben Aldis also has a new program on the Strength Plus app, if you're checking that out.
Yeah, if you're one of the beta testers, you can still join the beta test, by the way. But this new program is called Pump Up Your Performance. And Ben seems super excited about it. I was checking out the Strength Plus app, and it got me kind of excited to try strength again. I was like, I kind of want to go back to doing strength as soon as this marathon is behind me. So I don't know. Look out.
And we have Peloton and New York Roadrunners have released more Set the Pace classes.
Yes, they have a class with Logan Aldridge, Jesse Malone, Austin Curtis. That Austin Curtis is Bex Gentry's husband.
Okay.
And then they also had one with the race director for the New York City Marathon. And I took that one and a class with Alex Kowarski. Both of those were amazing. If you haven't had a chance to like read everything that you need to know or watch all the millions of videos about getting prepared for the New York City Marathon, that is a great way to get prepared for it, because they talk about the most important things you need to know about as soon as you get to New York, what to do at the Expo, what to do when you get to the start village, how to navigate the bus, all the things.
Right.
And then the class with Alex Kowarski was awesome because it was 30 minutes of him talking about transferring his training from rowing to running. And he also laid down a little bit of a challenge that he said that his goal for the New York City Marathon, it's his first ever marathon.
Right.
Is to beat Bex Gentry's New York City PR by 1 second.
Wow.
That's his goal.
Shots fired.
Well, she, in all seriousness, not only was supportive and incredibly like, you can do this, but also she was like, you are a very fast runner. I would not be surprised if you actually got closer to my London PR, which is saying a lot.
For sure.
Yeah. So he is a fast runner.
In case you missed it.
And we have a new apparel drop for people.
Yeah, this was all fall, and it's all Peloton. In other words, it's not some kind of collaboration with Lululemon, etc. It's just the Peloton, their Cadent clothing, and there were some new prints and some new colors for fall. So I thought it was kind of worth noting. I feel like people are a little over the apparel, but this one at least had some differences to it. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Peloton birthdays.
And we have only one birthday this week coming up on November 5th. It's former Peloton instructor and country music superstar Chase Tucker.
Happy birthday to Chase Tucker.
Happy birthday. Coming up after this, we have our interview of the week. We're going to talk to Latoya, Shauntay, Snell, so stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Latoya, Shauntay, Snell. Hey, Latoya, how you doing?
I am doing fabulous. How are you?
Doing good. I feel like I'm going to take, normally Crystal asks the first question, but I feel like we should veer from that and just start by explaining like who you are and your background, because you have gone viral on the internet with some very inspirational posts. And so we thought, maybe, especially because a lot of our people are listening, they're not looking. So to connect who you are, that they might actually recognize you.
Absolutely. So my name is Latoya Shauntay Snell. I am, I don't know how many. I think everybody has like 5 jobs now. So, I have 5 jobs. Why would I be any different? But a lot of people got to know me over the last several years as a multi-sport athlete, particularly as a marathoner and an ultra runner. What made my story very unique when, I don't know how many times I've gone viral at this point. The very, very first time that actually scared the living shit out of me. Oh, can I actually say the word?
You're fine.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're just going to do the uncensored thing. So when it scared the living shit out of me and I lost my job in the culinary industry, it was actually when I wrote an article for The Root, theroot.com. And it was about being heckled at the New York City Marathon. At this point, it was my 7th or 8th marathon. I was already a lunatic free going viral, but it just made me kind of up the ante just a little bit. and I was running this blog called Running Fat Chef. My friends at the time were just like, we love you. You always have these adventurous stories, but you are super long-winded for Instagram and Facebook. This is before they expanded the characters on there, because at one point we only could keep it under like 500 characters or less, and I would count them to see how long I can actually write it. Then they expanded the little 15-second clips. They gave us 30 seconds, and I just lost my mind and tried to cram everything in there. Then they gave us 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Now there's like no limit, baby. So now I get to do all that. But they were just like, before we do that, can we talk you into doing this platform called MySpace? Can we talk you into a blog? So essentially, I was just like, yeah, sure, I can do that. At one point, I went viral for that. It's like 20 years ago. So the nutshell of my story is that I've been a person that's been running away from being in front of a camera for over 20 years. It was like everything I touched, people were just like, you have this big personality, and the way that you express things by proxy of adult onset diagnosis of ADHD, everything's colorful. I found myself here in this fitness space, being plus size, looking nothing like the stereotype of what a runner is supposed to look like. Typically when we think of runners, we think of someone who's lean. We think of someone who's fast. My last name is Snell, and it translates to fast, but I am painfully fucking slow. And I've been getting slower over the years. So typically you wouldn't hear a story like mine being celebrated or championed. When theroot.com reached out to me and they were just like, you came across your blog called Running Fat Chef, I named it for what I consider the obvious reasons. I run. I happen to be a plus size girl, and I'm in the culinary industry. But it went away. But I created a blog called Running Fat Chef for the obvious reasons. I run. I am plus size, and I'm in the culinary industry. And I was like, let me just create this space where I can talk about things in an uncensored layer. I didn't see people talking about what happens if you poop on yourself. So I was like, you know what? That will be a great entry, an introduction, because now I can talk about anything. If you can talk about pooping on yourself in mouth 4 as an adult, there is nothing uncensored. I just kind of ran with it from there, but I underestimated the power of, and I was just like, I'm going to get this $200 for writing an article. I am a broke New Yorker. You have to have 6 jobs. Great. It's going to go out there and life goes on, and the internet said no. I lost my job after going viral. This is the part that people don't get. Like, if you don't have a plan and you're not one of those people that's like desiring to go viral, you're probably going to be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I lost my mind. I got scared. I'm like, no. I'm not the person. I'm anti-influencer. I am not a good role model.
Those are the best role models sometimes.
And being an anti-influencer, anti-role model, I became essentially wrong.
What did you get? How did you get fired? Because you talked about poop?
No. I wish that wasn't. It was that easy. I ended up bringing in a crowd so much that it was hard to even sell food. It was, yeah. So
there's one thing restaurants hate, it's foot traffic. That doesn't even make sense.
No money. So it was like, hey, can we actually say hi to you? And I'm like, hey, can you buy something? I'm actually in the back of the house. Can you buy something? And they're just like, no, but we just want to talk with you. And I am a person who will talk with someone forever. And next thing I know, something that's supposed to be 5 minutes turns into 45.
Yeah.
And it's like, after a while, it's like you are put in a position where you have to now choose. And I realized the more that I was doing these interviews, when I say that I had interviews around the world, the first thing was People's Magazine. Freaked me out. They was like, oh, don't worry about it. We already did research on you. We just need your approval for a photo. And I'm like, oh, so the freedom of the press is and then I ended up going on a show, and it was just like nobody prepared me for that process. And I'm not super unfamiliar because, like I said, I wore plenty of hats. So in addition to being in the culinary industry, I did food photography. My husband is a freelance photographer outside of his day job. So I knew what it was the behind the scenes, and that's what made me mostly not want to be in front. Because I was like, look at those happy, miserable people. But I'm like, they're walking around and they're entertaining people, but it looks like a prison. That was how my brain kind of shaped it, of you always have to be perfect. Anytime that we look at people on TV, they're perfect.
I know you started to tell this story in order, but I have to ask, the big question I have is, then how did you get comfortable with it? Because you seem to be comfortable with it.
I'm comfortable in doses. I am comfortable in doses, but every time that I create a form of normalcy, I have to remix the normalcy. So right now, in the middle of doing my 2024, what I call a running tour. I do this like almost every year. It's like the 5th year of me doing this, and actually 4, because of the panorama that we don't talk about. That year is not real. But I've been doing this for like 4 years, where every year I'm like, people are gonna get bored of me. They're gonna get tired of me, and it doesn't happen. I go from city to city. I put out my calendar, and that's what I'm reminded. Holy crap! People actually give a damn about my story, and that can make it overwhelming. My reality check is I don't throw out the garbage in this house. They know if I'm cooking, somebody else is cleaning. So
that's fair.
I'm like, listen, I'll make all the gourmet meals in the world for you. I'll even wash dishes about 3 times a week. But somebody else is throwing out the garbage. Somebody else is taking out the cat litter. But my family will keep me, humble in a heartbeat. They have no problems with making fun of me. I have my very close friends. The things that makes it hard to adjust to is that my everyday friends sometimes feel a little weirded out that, hey, there's somebody randomly strange, like kind of like gawking at you, and they recognize you. My neighbors don't give a damn though. They're just like, oh, there goes the running psycho that's running around doing loops. She always does this. Oh yeah, she's lifting up weights in her yard. One of my neighbors thinks I'm a superwoman. I don't know why. I started jumping rope, and she was like, I want to fly like that. And I was like, can I show you how to fly? And it's been our thing for 3 years. So I am Shauntay. I am Superwoman with dreadlocks and live a couple of doors down. And I love that. But the normalcy is really in doses. And I have to, for my mental health, I have to do things that's normal to not be out of touch. So it's a weird reality to be in when you're kind of I want to say that my son used to say hood famous. Now I'm Instagram famous.
That's great.
Instagram is social media, but even mainstream media to some degree. You have this level of notoriety, and the balance is that one, I am not rich. That's one. So that's humbling.
Yeah, I mean, so many people think that if people recognize you, there must be somewhere a paycheck attached to that.
No.
It's just not the reality anymore.
Oh, it wasn't the reality before. The one thing that I did not like about this space is how much people were not being transparent about how many of us are not really making the money that people are saying that we're making. That, like, there's not people that's out there actually saying, hey, a lot of these companies want us to do this stuff for little to no pay. I'm 39 years old. I can't eat, likes and hearts. But my electric bill doesn't care. Like, I have Con Edison. They don't care about me having exposure. The only exposure they care about is how much are you willing to pay for these lights and gas in this house. So, you essentially start wearing different hats. You have to ask yourself, am I good? Am I able to shift this beyond social media? Am I able to create my own business? Am I able to inform, entertain people? Am I able to give back? Am I able to network with other businesses? You become the producer, you become the coordinator, you become the travel person. You have to be some type of resource at some point. It can't just be as gimmicky as, hey, I'm cute, let me smile on the internet, and maybe 5 million followers later, I have money. Because even these brands are acknowledging that the influencer is still a business. My name is associated with whatever company I'm working with. When I speak on behalf of it, I have to know the products. I have to have awareness. And I'm just not willing to sell my soul for a pair of sneakers or a shirt. It has to make sense. A lot of what I do as a non-traditional athlete, and I put air quotes around that, is that I'm not running for first place. I'm not even running for 10th place. I am the person that's coming in dead freaking last. There's a possibility I'm not going to finish some of these courses the longer the distances get. A lot of the things that I do is about advocacy work, about brand awareness, about things that there's a direct need. So the things that make more sense to me is how can I listen to my community and use this likability, this voice to actually make some real change. So a lot of my loudmouth ethics, not ethics, but loudmouth antics is really to benefit the everyday person. How can I actually travel around on a budget? How can I get, some of these races, these race directors to actually listen to us when they say, hey, listen, 15 minutes as a cutoff for, 15 minutes per mile is not realistic for someone who is moving a 16-minute, 18-minute, 20-minute pace. If you're saying that the cutoff is 6 hours and 30 minutes, is it after the last person? Are the amenities going to be out there? Is there water out there? Is there porta potties? Are the medals going to be there? I've ran plenty of races in the beginning where I would come to the finish line after suffering between 6 hours to 9 hours, and they're like, hey, congratulations, there's no finish line. The tape is already down, and I'm talking about being within time limit. The tables and stuff is already down. There's not a bottle of water. There's nothing to drape over you. And of course, the bling is not there. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll mail it to you. Tell it to a first timer.
Yeah.
The first timer will never show back up.
These are all fears that I have. Like, New York is my first marathon that I'm going after. And like, when I was reading your posts on social media, I mean, so much of what you said stood out to me. I have always been a slow runner. Like, I am a total turtle out there. And no matter what I do, I cannot get faster. And, I have heard just horror stories about getting to the end. And it's so, you don't want to be the person that's like not getting, like, I don't want to make people wait out there for me for 8 hours, at the same time. And I don't want to inconvenience anyone. That's always me. I always feel bad about that. And I know there's a balance. I probably am too far on the nice side of things, but it's,
I'm gonna shut you down right here.
I sensed it was coming.
I was like, hold on, inconvenience. No. You are not a burden. That's for one. But let's just change up that language. You are not a burden. When your people, the people who are there for you, who are cheering you on, you have to really lean into those helpers. And that's me being a hypocrite for a minute, because I'm gonna need this over the next couple of weeks, where I have to remind myself at the harder miles that people are genuinely care about me, that they are there to cheer me on. I am not E for everyone. I'm not a video game. And I'm not built to be a video game. And I'm not designed to be as fast as somebody's dreams, hopes, aspirations, and ambitions. The goal is for me to be able to find joy in the things that I'm doing. Even when I'm at mile 16, I do not want to touch another energy gel or drink. I'm questioning, my life decisions. I could be watching TV right now. Law and Order sounds amazing. My sofa feels amazing, but I'm here. You're not a burden. So if it takes you 3 hours, that's phenomenal. If it takes you 8 hours, that's fine as well. But you are not a burden to those who wholeheartedly care about what you are doing. They may not understand what got you there. What keeps you here, why you're so dedicated to your training, why you fall off some weeks with your training, why you're grumpy at certain moments, why would you do something that makes you chafe? That's completely okay. That's completely okay. The magic in it is that, one, there is no better parade where you can suffer with a bunch of people. You can smell people's armpits and other body parts that we will never talk about. And you did all this for a wonderful bagel, maybe a banana. But this is much more than just a medal. It is the idea that if I can conquer this, imagine how many other things that I can do. We are literally leaning into fear beyond the start line or the finish line. We're doing that every time we go out there for a training run, every time that we feel discouraged, every time that we're powering through, every time when something is like, this doesn't feel right, we take that into our mental Rolodex or we do have a notebook, we write those things down, and we're just like, how can we adjust this every time? Those are life skills. So when I look at whether you're doing a 1 mile for the first time, or you're a lunatic like me who's gonna like do 100K all over again, that's equivalent to 62.3 miles. We had a discussion outside of the podcast about this. He's like, listen, the metric system is not for me. It's not for a lot of people here in the United States. So that is lunatics. That's just the lunatics that go out there into different places and they decide, hey, running for 24 hours or more is really, really fun when you're delirious. So that would be me. But you are not a burden. Take as much time as you need on the course. Now, I will say, once upon a time, when it came down to the marathon experience, it was a little tragic with some of these races. But I will give these race directors this. They've been taking the feedback in. Some of them could use a little bit more work. But when it comes down to the New York City marathon scene, I've personally, right along with several others, have talked to New York road runners. And it's been amazing to look at the changes over the years. Some people don't know that there are actual lactation stations out there. Some people are not aware. Yeah, I know, right? And there's lactation stations out there. They have incorporated, they tested out a pilot program last year where they took a lot of us who were in the back of the pack. It took me 8 hours 1 year to finish a marathon. They took a lot of us that was in the back of the pack. We would typically start in wave 5 to give a time understanding or a time breakdown for anyone listening to this. This essentially means someone that wouldn't start until about 11:30 when the race already started at 9 o'clock. That's 2.5 hours extra that you don't get. And the reason why it's so critical for people who are slower paced runners is because we're not offered that grace period of, oh, okay, I have the extra 2.5 hours. No, that means our time starts at that very last person who crosses that finish line. And that person has 6 or 8 hours out there in the course, while everybody else have 8:30, 8:45, 10 hours. We don't get that. So when people are just like, oh, we're running the same race, we're running the same distance, but the challenges look different. It's not to reduce or minimize anybody's experience, but realistically, the experience is hard when you're on your feet for countless hours. The way that you're fueling looks different. The hydration looks different. The amenities, the things that you're freaking out inside of your head are real possibilities. So what they've done over the years, they've listened to a lot of our feedback, and they're just like, how can we be better? So one of the first things that I recognized in 2018 is they had an article with the New York Times where 3 people were cut off at the finish line, and literally the finish line cut off on them. There were no medals. They didn't get time or credit for it. The next year, they brought in this party in the back of the pack. So literally every year for New York City Marathon, the time usually rolls back as daylight savings time for us. So once it starts to get dark, that's when the party really, really begins. They crank up the music in Central Park. They essentially have all these people out there with lights, and they're cheering in the stands, and they literally wait for you. And I think the media has caught on to it so much that they literally stay out there for the last person. So we're talking about people who have been out there on their feet for 11 hours, trooping from 5 boroughs, from city to city to city, just to make it to that finish line. The experience got way better. And when it comes down to some of the concerns that may be out there, let's say that you're a mile 18 and they start to cut off and they say, hey, listen, we need you to pivot over to the sidewalk. From that section, they started incorporating volunteers out there in the course. And you'll have people who will meet you and say, hey, how you doing? Are you still in the race? Yeah, okay, cool. Here's a map so you don't get lost. Another thing, as a person who's done this will be my 8th year of doing this. Another thing to look out for is look at the bottom of the ground. In the street, you'll see markings. A lot of people are not aware of that. Look at the streets. There's markings in the street that tell you exactly where to go. I know this course in the back of my head, so people have kind of made me like the unofficial guardian on the course. If you see me out there, if anybody sees me out there, please feel free to say hello. But the other part of it is if you feel like I'm struggling, I promise you there's always somebody out there who's equally struggling too. And most times when people are asking me for help, I'm sometimes in my head. The more I get quiet, the more that I'm usually in my head of, I just need this to actually be over. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my helpers will pop up. And they don't realize they're helping me by being there, but I get to help them because I know the course. I may have extra gels, I may have extra food. And as grumpy as we can be here in New York City, it is a time where you'll get so many random strangers who are willing to help you out there. This is not the only city that does it. They've got tremendously better, I want to say, after the pandemic, where a lot of these race directors realize the times are getting slower for people to actually finish these races. It's time that we start catering towards these audiences.
Well, I feel like that is why you resonate with people so much, because you keep it real by saying I struggle too, but also you've been through it, so there's this sense that like, well, she struggled but she did it, so therefore if I'm struggling, that doesn't mean I can't do it, you know.
Right.
And I think people really, I think that resonates. I mean, I know everything I read that you write or that you say on your videos resonates with me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, keep talking, keep putting that stuff out.
It's trippy. That's the humbling moment for me. Like, sometimes I'm just like, am I just talking to a screen? You know, am I a weirdo? Like, I'm 30. I'm always reminded of my age. I'm like, I am 39 years old. This is a young person's game. In my head, I'm always telling myself, like, this is something for 18 to 21-year-olds, maybe even 25. Once you get past 25, you start to question things. Then as soon as you hit 30, the muscles and the aches and the tweaks and stuff like that start to kick in. It's just like, am I supposed to be doing this for a living? And the answer is yes. When I get those emails or direct messages, or I'm able to troubleshoot something on post, or just honestly the power of saying, I don't know, but I'm willing to actually help you find the answers. I think about 16-year-old me who was looking for someone like me. And that's what I try to give out to the internet every single day, where it's like, I'm not giving you this curated perfection. I'm giving you all of the messy, all of the good, all of the unhinged, all of the realities of what to expect, versus here's this thing of, you know, this world of make-believe that I'm going to give you, and then you're going out there feeling unprepared. I'm not trying to put myself out there as 100% of a cautionary tale. My situation is going to look different compared to somebody else's. You know, my struggles may not be someone else's struggles. My joys may not be somebody else's joys. And I want to just urge people to understand that's completely okay. Do not have to run the same pace as your friends. Some of your friends and family members will not understand this. And they may never understand this. And please acknowledge that they are okay too. Sometimes your passions will not translate to someone else. And the thing is, when you're moving out there, you're moving for you, and you have no idea of who you're empowering, who are inspiring out there, who you are, just your presence alone is giving someone else the green light to say, I can try. It's not like all of my stories don't end with me crossing the finish line. I think it's powerful for me to be able to say to someone, hey, I've done 300 races, but I have about 11 DNFs, did not finish, for anyone who's new to like listening to some of this jargon. I'm the person who made it to mile 21 of a race called the Big Sur Marathon. Big Sur Marathon is brutal. It's on Highway 1. It's like a side of a mountain.
I did the 21 miler last year. I only did 21 miles only because I got hit by a car in the middle of my training last year. So for me to get to show up to that race was amazing. But I walked the whole thing, and it was windy and it was hilly, and yes, brutal. Brutal is the accurate word.
It's brutal. And I just like I want to say that time when I did it in 2019. Like that is, it doesn't feel like a long time, but it is a decent amount of years. The language was not inclusive to me online. The positive feedback that I get now, I was not getting this in 2019. In 2019, I've had people who were just like, you're an embarrassment to to this community, and being a marginalized person, there is a invisible burden that I do bear, where I am a plus size woman, I am a Black woman, I am an athlete with disabilities, and these disabilities are not visible to the everyday person. So I'm constantly questioned if my disabilities are real. It is horrible to be that vulnerable and to have someone say it's still not enough, or I need the show and tell for you to prove to me that you're worth considering, or to know that someone will listen to my story and they will fetishize it to a sense of, well, if you can do it, then I have no excuse. And I'm just like, that's not the message I'm actually trying to get across. If you have hardships, if your body is not able or capable of doing something, I want you to give yourself the grace to be able to heal. I don't want you going out there looking at me and saying, oh, well, you're a plus size woman, so I'm supposed to be able to do it. This is not, don't get caught up in the Instagram or the social media bubble where you're looking at a 60-second reel and then you're thinking that this is an overnight experience. This is years of me building up, me falling down, picking myself back up, doing it 3 times over. And Big Sur was definitely that for me, where it's one of my favorite races to date, but I did not see that finish line. And I've realized in hindsight that it extended an opportunity for other people to say, but you did 21 miles. You did 21 miles, and I saw that course, and that course from mile 8 to about mile 12, 13, where that guy's at the top and he's playing that damn piano, and it's like, it sounds so nice, but fuck you.
It's hard to appreciate in that moment.
It's like, wow, look at where I came from. So I'm always mindful as a freelance writer myself. I told you I wear many hats. As a freelance writer, it means a lot to me about language. So when I hear people say only, I'm like, well, it's only a mile, it's only 800. It's much more than what you've done yesterday or the day before. Or if you find yourself at a place where you're injured or you're unable to do something, look at what you've accomplished. Look at how much strength it took for you to take that rest, to take that break, to go for that run, to do something that you said would probably sucks and it's probably going to suck tomorrow and it's not going to look like somebody else, but you're still doing it anyway. Anytime that we decide to deliberately do something and do something that our body may be telling us not to do, our minds are like, I can find something much more comfortable. When other people are not giving us that feedback, that we need to kind of be like, that we need that hype person. When you lean into that uncomfort, that discomfort, and you opt to say yes to it, that's amazing. That's real storytelling.
I have a question though. I am a person who constantly feels like I try to listen to other people's points of view, and in so doing, sometimes I can then question myself too much. You clearly do not do that, but how did you? I don't know what to say.
I do. No. That's a wonderful thought. To say, but no, I have my moments. Like, I mean, I'm. It's almost like sometimes we give better advice to other people than the way we talk to ourselves, and I can be that person too. Where like it's just like, here's the things that I would do, and it's like, yeah, that's my hype person. Now go home and tell that to yourself. You are stupid. You are worthless. There is no way. Why? No, that is not for you. And I'm just like, I have to rewind, take it back. Do a U-turn and say, hold up, is that the way that I would talk to me if I was hyping up? Is that okay to be so abusive to yourself but hype up somebody else? What a hypocrite. So I have to acknowledge my hypocrisy at that moment and then say, what does it sound like to actually just be, what if I was my own entertainment 24/7, 365? How would I want to entertain you?
Do you catch yourself doing that? Do you catch yourself and then you say, like, do you actually go through those thoughts and like?
Yes. There are moments like, I mean, like I said, when I say invisible medical conditions, it is it's not just from a physical aspect, but it's from a mental health aspect. So I have CPTSD. For anybody that's unaware of the term, it's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I surprisingly, and this is why I really am very open about it. I have a great deal of depression, anxiety, and I've gone through panic attacks at one point. And thank God, I can say that I've only had like 1 or 2 this year. And I say only because considering the other years that I've gone through it, it was so bad that I did. And I want to say, like, I apologize to anyone who needs a little bit of a warning. I've had suicidal ideation. So for me, it's important and it's pertinent to be able to identify when I'm having those moments where I'm talking so low to myself that I'm just like, how dare you be that abusive to me? Do you know what you've accomplished? Do you know the things that you haven't even done yet? Do you know the people that you're reaching out and you're touching? Do you understand how powerful you are to you? Before I can hype up anybody on any of these platforms, I have to be the hype person for myself. So it doesn't matter how many reels or how many videos or how many handshakes or hugs I give out there. If I don't believe in anything that I'm saying, then what am I doing? And there's nothing wrong with having moments where you're like, damn, that sounds like a better idea, or that sounds like a better tactic, or that person really has it together. But I promise you, if you sit down with someone long enough, you realize they don't have it together either. So we're essentially the blind leading the blind, when it comes down to it. And when it comes down to my depression, I realized the more I started talking with people in inbox, on post, we had so much more in common than we ever know. And with social media, we are the most crowded, loneliest crowd I have ever seen. I hurt for so many people. And that's one of the things that I have to remind myself in this space, because it's not like I have a team that's reading through these emails. It's literally just me, and I read through some of this stuff, and people are telling me things that they won't tell their family members. I've lost a follower because he just wouldn't come out. And I tried to tell him, like, it's going to be all right. You're going to lose a couple of people, but that's life. You're going to lose a couple of people, and it hurt. And around that time, that was when I went viral the second time. I wrote this very angry article about being this person that's running 10 marathons in a year, and I was still being fat shamed. And this was like literally going viral in 2017, 2019. I did this HuffPost article, ended up doing a video with it, and people were hung up off of the level of profanity that came out my mouth. And I'm like, you have to understand. Like, this was before I got all the diagnosis of, hey, you have ADHD, you have CPTSD, and then the public, it was a mixed bag of how people perceived me. There was some people that was just like, you go ahead and you keep going for it, but they looked at it as, why is she losing weight? But why is she still fat if she's doing all those things? And it now became a burden of disappointments. So I had to learn how to disappoint others to be able to please myself. And in turn, I started building the real audience that I was there for. I can't be E for everyone. I'm not a video game. And even the most likable person on the internet have haters. So like, when you take that in perspective, you stop getting caught up on the what if scenarios. You stop getting caught up on comparing somebody else's madness or crazy or just strategy or their winning strategy. It's not yours. What gels work for me and my body don't work for somebody else. So why would I adopt that mindset that their mindset has to be?
Wow. Very, very inspiring. Thank you so much. I have to ask a Peloton question, just since this is for the Peloton audience too. And
it's the law.
It is the law. But I noticed that you went to a Peloton and Black History Month influencer meetup, and you got to meet Ash Pryor, she's amazing. But I was curious, like, do you see yourself becoming a Peloton user in the future?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, Peloton. I can't afford you.
They should give you one.
That's literally what's holding me back from being able to do the classes. Like for me, I have a bike that's here in the corner, and a couple people were just like, "Yeah, you can kind of hack it and just get the app." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I want the experience. When seeing people like Ash Pryor, on the app, and then getting to just know her and in person, getting to meet her, and then realizing like she follows me. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, hold up. I'm like, my girl follows me, and she's like, man, she's like, you're such an inspiration. I'm like, dude, you're such an inspiration.
You both are.
What I love about her.
It's not either or.
Yeah, like we're both dope in our own, amazing ways. What I love about her, she's super positive. Like in everyday life, she's just so positive. And to see a fellow athlete who's plus size, to see another person who is also chronically ill and still finding their way, because I feel like sometimes that conversation is not talked about enough when people can't see what we're going through. Like it's almost like, where's your missing limb? No, there's no arm missing, so we can't feel bad when you say you need a day off. And she just powers through. She powers through. She's honest about it. She's very refreshing. She takes her time. When she spoke at the Black History Month Meta, I believe it was like a collaboration.
Yeah, it was like it was Instagram and Peloton together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When she spoke on that panel, that really spoke volumes to me. The day I came in there, I actually was going through a flare-up. And I was terrified. When I say that I have moments of self-doubt, that's the moments I have self-doubt. People are just like, they instantly usually think is, oh, you have a roundish belly, so that's what you're insecure about. Like, no. I'm like, I'm not insecure about my body. I'm like, I think I'm dope. I was like, I go in the mirror and I look at it, I'm like, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Say it 3 times so you know you're dope. I'm like, physically, I feel like I'm amazing at any size. I'm like visually. But when it comes down to feeling that pain, there's a layer that sinks me into a dark hole where I can't see myself beyond that pain, where I'm just like, I feel like the ugliest thing walking. Everybody can feel it. Everybody can see. I feel like I'm a burden. I am taking up too much space at this time. Now people have to move around chairs for me. When you add that onto being plus size, where people already think that you're taking up too much space and you should get smaller, combined with being a Black woman, where there's a level of stereotypes that's associated with people like me, where she's too loud, she has too much attitude, you get in your head. So when I went to that event that day, I don't think she understands how much I need. Like, I really needed to have that one-on-one conversation with her and see her on that panel, because it reminded me that I need to be okay with taking up space even on my bad days. That I'm not going to always be the hype person. I'm not going to always be filled up with energy. And that is okay too. That you don't have to walk around with this, this perception of, I'm the influencer, so I always have to be on. I can't have a bad moment. I can't say no to a picture. I can be in pain and be a participant at this moment and just take in and be receptive of the good words that's passed around in the room. Like, all of the athletes there that was on that panel were amazing. But Ash, she's a special place in my heart. Absolutely love her. Absolutely love her. And she, like, by the time she hears this podcast, she'll know how much I really think that she's dope. I appreciate her pouring into everybody into that room. What she does, when I can actually see what she does on the app. I see the clips all the time, and she's already gave me an invite to the studio, which I'm gonna take her up on. I just had a hysterectomy, so I couldn't take advantage of that that offer this summer. But I do plan on going into the studio one day and just rocking it out with her. Because rowing is not my strongest suit. It is not my strongest suit. But if she wanted me to deadlift something, we are here. Because as much as I am a slow runner, I am an excellent powerlifter.
You guys could have a deadlifting competition. You could just like have all the instructors line up and just deadlift them all.
I'm notorious for picking up somebody at a race. Like, yeah, I'm like, hey, listen, you're gonna get this safe picture, and I am E for everyone when it comes to that. I don't care if you are a man, a woman, a non-binary person. If you want to get picked up, we are going to do a selfie together, where I'm going to probably pick you up with one arm. I am like, there are so many people who are walking around here on this internet that have me in tagged pictures where they're just like, you know, you're in my profile picture for 6 months. I have my friend James. I literally picked him up on one arm and I'm literally taking a selfie. And he's just like, I left that there for you. It's I don't know. And I was like, maybe I missed my calling. No, she's amazing. I definitely, like, as far as having the opportunity to be an instructor, they better hit me up. Listen, but they probably gonna have to bleep me out though, because I'm a potty mouth to the fullest.
That's okay. There's other instructors that are potty mouths. I think we can.
Yeah, they're out there.
I'm rooting for you. That would be awesome.
Well, Latoya, I know you had a hard stop that we already blew by a couple minutes. So, so I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you in all the places. So in case they haven't seen any of your videos, they can check them out.
Absolutely. So I'm always going to plug a website just in case these apps go down.
For sure.
IamLShauntay.com. That's IamLShauntay.com, because people were scared to go to runningfatchef.com. They're like, I can't say that word. I'm like, let me remind you, fat is seasoning, okay? Fat is part of the soul. If we didn't have fat, we wouldn't have life. So I'm like, I will encourage you to go to that website as well. I'm actually changing over that community. It was my former page where I actually was a blog, but now I want to make it more about the community. So I'm going in the middle of a transition from runningfatchef.com, from it being about my story to making it a communities page where we start sharing stories from people around the world, where we share these, where it's not just you hearing something that's on my page, but you get to hear something that you're able to relate to, or, hey, I like you, but your stories don't hit the way that my friend's stories hit. Well, maybe your friend can actually donate the story to the website. You can also find me on social media. That's IamLShauntay on Instagram, Threads, on, what's that other one? The Clock app. TikTok. On TikTok, and on Facebook, you can find me as Running Fat Chef. If you go on there, there's I got 46,000 people over there who send loving affirmations, and they appreciate that I write more.
Aw.
So, like, Instagram, booyah to all my friends who told me to get a website back in the day, and they was like, nobody's gonna read all that. Ha ha. I shout out to my friends, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would have leaned to what now I can actually say is a career. Once upon a time, people were just like, people like you are abstract or X-Files. You are weird. Weird is beautiful. Weird is beautiful. Lean into your weirdness. That's where the goodness and the amazing adventures love lie at. So
fabulous. Thank you so much for all your time today. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you.
Clip out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you? People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can also find me on all the socials and the Peloton leaderboard and the New York City Marathon at Clip Out Crystal. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon at patreon.com/The Clip Out, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, ad-free episodes, and we like you extra. We're going to go record that right now. We are. So join us, won't you? So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling and running and rowing. Bye.